and welcome to Call Me When They Kiss. I'm Sydney.
And I'm Issa, and if this is your first time tuning in, every Friday, Sydney and I talk about a different romance movie and sometimes a TV show. And you can also join us the last Monday of the month for a bonus episode where we talk about a romance book. Sydney, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I was just telling Issa, it's just been a nap day for me. I've been catching up on some sleep and recharging, which is needed every once in a while, but it has put me in a very slow, mellow mood. I'm going to try to sound upbeat and excited in this episode. I'm not excited. I'm just feeling very zen.
No, same.
Calm.
Sydney and I, before we started recording, we were lamenting about how we were kind of cranky and tired right now. But I know when we start talking, I do have a lot of stuff I want to say and talk about. So I know when we start, I'll perk up.
Yeah. Today we'll be talking about Some Kind of Wonderful, which is a 1980s film written by John Hughes. So he's considered one of the classics of the 80s. And this was one of my favorites growing up. I realized though, like rewatching it, and we'll get into this later, but it definitely, I felt like related more to like my teen experience, and watching it back as an adult, I was like, this boy is dumb, but we'll get into that. But first, we'll chat about some recent news items in the pop culture world. You know, some time has passed since this was announced, and I honestly still feel annoyed about it. And we're going to be talking about the Emily Henry Beach Read casting announcement. Some people have tried to like really make it a positive, and I'm like, no, I'm not falling for any of this propaganda. I'm not a fan. Have you felt like your thoughts or feelings have changed, or?
Well, no, it's so hard. Like, I don't want to be, I don't even want to pile on to the negativity, but like, I can't help it.
I'm not going to go on his profile and like leave hate comments.
No, definitely
But
not.
like, this is our podcast, so like, we can be haters for a second if we need to be.
Well, no, it's really unfortunate because I saw someone else say this on a TikTok, but Augustus Everett was probably the very most important character to nail the casting out of all of the Emily Henry adaptations. He just across the board is probably the most beloved. Would you agree?
Yes, and he's the most complicated, I would say.
They really needed to nail Gus, and unfortunately, they did not. And it was so out of left field, too.
Yeah, I'm gonna read just really quick, like what Yulin put. So the director posted when this casting announcement was made. And honestly, like, I don't really know what her intentions were. Like, is she trying to convince us this is a good thing? Because it was almost...
She did not sound very convinced herself.
Yes,
like, she did not
exactly
help the situation at all.
So she put, I won't read this whole thing, but two parts that I'll read. Patrick is I don't even know if we announced this. Who they cast for Gus was Patrick Schwarzenegger.
He who shall not be named. Yeah, we didn't even say.
So she put, Patrick is a slow burn, is what I wrote in my notes after meeting him for the first time. There was something about the way he talked about his feelings on love and romance that I couldn't forget, but I was unconvinced that we found our Gus, because I knew we had to be exhaustive in our efforts, given how important this character is to readers. So already you're like, huh? She was literally saying she was unconvinced. So then they go on to, they cast Phoebe Denver as January Andrews first. They didn't cast this as a pair, they cast her. And then she said that I've always maintained that we are not casting a character, but a relationship. Once we knew Phoebe would be our January, my efforts became more focused and specific, not on who would play the best Gus according to the text, but who would play the best Gus opposite to our specific January.
That
and right
sentence
there, I'm like,
literally pisses me off. Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah.
And it almost has me like lose complete faith in the movie. Like people are like, oh no, get on board with Patrick. But now I feel like she's not going to even tell the story right. Because this isn't, like, yes, it's obviously a romance and a love story. But like, this is so much more beyond just like a story about a relationship. And already, like, with that sentence, it feels like, okay, so you don't understand this story and you're writing and directing it.
Well, and even like at the most simple level, this is a beloved book and everyone wants it to follow the book. So to say, I wasn't trying to cast someone to play the book character.
Yeah.
Like, that just makes no sense, and I've lost all faith in you.
Like, not the right Gus according to the text? What
Yeah,
the heck do
what?
you even mean?
Yeah.
I obviously I'm going to be way too curious and I'm going to watch it, but I'm definitely lowering my expectations like way down so that I don't go into it like how we did with People We Meet on Vacation, which by the way was still written by Yulin, the same director now for
Mhm.
Beach Read. Now that's making her writing in People We Meet on Vacation make a lot more sense too, because they did not write or flesh out Alex in any
Yeah.
way. And if you
No,
read
that's
Emily
true.
Henry's books, they're not like, yeah, they're not really centered around the female main character. This is like equally both of their stories, and People We Meet on Vacation was turned into like Poppy's story.
Mhm.
So,
So, okay, tell me why specifically you do not like Patrick Schwarzenegger as Gus, because that's kind of the general consensus is he is not Gus, but I don't even know if I could quite articulate why he's not Gus to me. And you know how sometimes people feel like they need to assign a moral reason for not liking
yeah.
something? I was like, did he do something cancelable? Do we just not think he's hot?
I mean, like,
Is he
my
a bad actor? I haven't seen him in anything. Like, I saw him and I was like, no, that's not Gus. But that's just off of vibes. So, do you have specific
Yeah.
reasons?
My gut reaction is I just don't find him attractive. It's just not vibing for me. I've seen certain
Mm-hmm.
pictures where he looks a little bit better, and then other ones I'm like, you're just not my type. And like, that's not a huge surprise. I don't love like skinny, light haired white boys, but it goes beyond that, really. He just doesn't seem to embody this character, which, you know, maybe it's a good reflection point for me because, you know, victims of abuse or things like that, like, don't have to look a certain way. So, like, even though he looks at like this preppy boy that's like never done physical labor in his whole entire life, which, like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, he probably never has, which, by the way, if you don't know this, he's also a Kennedy. Some people are like, oh my gosh, he's a Nepo baby. I don't really care so much about that, but like, he just genuinely doesn't look like he embodies this like kind of rugged, rougher exterior, but like soft, gentle, loving guy on
Mm-hmm.
the inside has survived like brutal abuse and is like studying cults and like,
Yeah.
I just don't see it. But honestly, like, I can't really give you a good reason other than like I'm just not vibing with it.
I think that's what's so fascinating about this whole situation though, and despite my disappointment, I'm just so curious to watch it all unfold because unless I'm missing something that he did wrong that we should be mad about, everyone is just hating on it just based on vibes and hotness and stuff. Whereas it's like, okay, he's never like done physical labor, but he's an actor playing a character. So
He
like,
looks
should
so
we give him a chance to portray the character he's
yeah,
been cast to play? But like and
yeah.
I'm not trying to like I know I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, and don't get me wrong, like he's not who I envisioned for Gus either. But just like the punishment does not seem proportionate to the crime here.
Yeah.
And so I'm
I,
just bamboozled by the whole situation, and Emily Henry won't say anything. Yulin Kwan's caption was weird. It's all just a very bizarre situation to me.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Like I said, at this point it's just like I just don't believe that they're going to execute the story in the way that is like that was so meaningful to me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's better that I have such low expectations now. The disappointment is already out of the way, like the bar's on the ground. Maybe I might be
Right.
pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I'm holding out hope for Charlie Lastra.
I know. And wait, they changed Happy Place to a movie? It was going to be a show?
Yes, I believe so.
I don't know. I'm getting nervous. I'm going to give you, Lynn, one more chance. I really want to support a women director, but I want you to like understand the original work and portray it in
Yeah.
a good way.
Well, I mean, and we've been speculating, who knows who had the final say in casting.
Yeah.
And the fact that Emily Henry hasn't said anything is adding fuel to the speculation.
Well, I wonder if
So maybe it's not Yulin's fault.
I mean, yes, that's true. And I actually thought that too. There has been instances where the director has wanted to cast a certain person, but some higher power says no, like, this is who you're going to cast, you know? I think that if anyone is upset by this, probably Yulin or Emily Henry would be the most justified to be, because we're just basing it off vibes. But if Emily Henry's upset, she probably saw who else was in discussion and who she felt was a better Gus.
That's true.
And then maybe felt let down by that, you know?
That would be so frustrating.
Yeah. And
I don't even want to know who they were talking to.
Who was in the discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, that might make it worse. Well, we'll see how this all plays out.
Yeah.
We'll still go in theaters.
Of course, of course.
We'll be there.
Okay, is there anything else before we get into some kind of wonderful? Cindy and I, we were together this past weekend, and we did record an episode, but it's a May episode.
Yeah, like
should we reveal what it is? I'm excited
Sure.
about it. We recorded an episode on Brokeback Mountain, and we had our first guests on the podcast. So stay tuned for that episode sometime in May. We did have a lot of technical difficulties, so brace yourself for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do our best.
I'm actually really sad about it because it was a good episode.
It is a good conversation, and so I'd say, like, when it comes out and you're listening to it, even if the audio is not, like, amazing, you should listen to it.
You should keep listening anyway.
Yeah.
And what else happened this weekend?
Issa got to go and see Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
On Broadway. Well,
yes.
Touring Broadway.
Yeah. It was really incredible. Okay, I do have a confession, though. I feel bad even, like, saying this out loud because, obviously, it's such a privilege to get to go see a Broadway musical. Act 2 was kind of boring.
Oh, really?
You've seen the movie, right? Have you seen it live?
No, just the movie.
2 is kind of slow. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I think I told you, like, before you went and saw it, that I was like, I really like parts of Phantom of the Opera, but it also always put me to sleep. So maybe even part 2 of the movie was boring.
Yeah.
But I love the music.
Yeah.
But that's my problem with a lot of Broadway musicals is, like, I end up just feeling like I'd rather just listen to the music and, like, multitask than, like, sit and, like, watch it all.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Like, I tried watching Hamilton when it came out on Disney Plus because that was back when I was, like, still pretty deep in my Hamilton phase, and I couldn't get through it. I was like, wow, this is boring.
That's true. I was actually so excited because, like probably most people, I didn't get to see, like, Hamilton live, and I was so excited for it to be released on Disney Plus because I loved it, and I got through part 1. Act 1? What do they call it? Yeah, and so then it did intermission, and I, like, just shut it off and was like, you know, this wasn't really how I was, like, picturing it in my head this whole time, so I'm just gonna go back to my imagination.
No, genuinely, I think the best way to experience a musical is driving in your car, singing along.
I think that's the first time I listened to Hamilton, actually, was, like, you and me were driving to... Well, maybe I had listened to, like, other things, like, the songs on shuffle before or whatever, but that was the first time that we listened to it, like, well, I listened to it all the way through, like, in order. And I was like, this is great.
With me?
Yes.
Really?
We were driving to Salt Lake City with my brother and some other people.
I know exactly. I know exactly what trip you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's funny. I was really obnoxious about Hamilton. Did I ever tell you about the time a theater kid tried to gatekeep Hamilton from me?
No.
Okay, it's, like, too long to get into now, but I was actually thinking about it last week when I was making my video about West Side Story, and I was like, people probably... I wonder if anybody, like, true theater kids are judging me for not liking West Side Story when I'm obsessed with Hamilton, because I feel like Hamilton's kind of a meme now, you know? And I was thinking all the time, this theater kid tried to gatekeep Hamilton from me, and I honestly thought about doing a story time and posting on TikTok, so maybe I will.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was, like, very applicable to our podcast content, but I just thought it was funny.
Who cares? There's a tragic love story in Hamilton. You know, I don't care what anyone says about Hamilton now. Yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda's kind of become a meme in general, but I love that shiz. And that was actually like my number one album on my like Spotify Wrapped for like 3 years in a row. And finally I was like, okay, I cannot do this again. And so I like purposely like stopped listening to it. And every once in a while, like I'll put it on again and be like, dang, this is so good.
No, it is really good. And I can't remember if you sent it to me or I sent it to you, but it was that TikTok where the girl was like, I unironically think Taylor Swift and Lin-Manuel Miranda are the two like greatest artists of our of our time.
Yeah.
And you know what? I agree with that. Like they're like the best lyricists we have.
And it's never going to happen again. Like, think of how many people try to replicate Lin-Manuel Miranda, and it's just not going to work.
Oh my gosh. And speaking of Taylor Swift, we never really talked about this. Like, okay, don't come for me. Like, I'm a casual Harry Styles fan, but his album was just like kind of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw another TikTok. Sorry, like I don't think for myself, you guys. Like I just see TikToks and I'm like, yeah, that's so true. But it was talking about how there's no male pop stars that are like putting in the work and wanting to be pop stars.
No, that's true. Well, except for like Benson Boone, but people were tearing him apart. And I'm not gonna lie, actually, Moonbeam Ice Cream, what's that song called? Is that
Nobody knows the real name. Nobody knows. It's an unknowable title.
Yeah, whatever that song is called. Before it got to the chorus, I was actually like, who is this? Like, this is like a really nice voice. This is a good song. He was trying to give us pop star energy and he got roasted. So.
I think Benson Boone's problem, listen, I'm not going to say anything about Moonbeam's Ice Cream because you know what? Life of the Showgirl is probably Taylor Swift's Moonbeam's Ice Cream. Whatever. I think the problem with Benson Boone is his identity, his pop star identity that he was trying to convince us of, it didn't really seem to fit his true authentic aura. There's some sort of disconnect between Benson Boone the person and Benson Boone the brand. And maybe if he could figure that out, we would accept him more fully and maybe put out better music.
No, that's true. I'm like trying to think who even are like male singers right now. Maybe I've just like, I'm so much better than other girls and I have de-centered men from my life. I don't even listen to male artists. No, not really.
Okay, but really,
but I actually don't.
No, really. And when you and Ashley were like fangirling over Justin Bieber in the group chat, I was like, wait, what? We're standing men here? Where did this come from?
I do, you know, and I didn't even grow up being a Justin Bieber fan, but something about him, I think it was when he released the song Lonely, I was like, man, this is sad. Like, I would not trade my life for Justin Bieber's life, even if they offered me millions and millions and millions of dollars. Like, somebody left a comment that was like, I don't think it's clocking to you. No. I don't think you realize, like, how lucky we are that Justin Bieber is still alive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's true, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
no, I 100%
I give him a break.
Justin Bieber. I just, again, am more of a casual fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, are there any men that I'm more than a casual fan of?
I really like Noah Kahan and Hozier.
Oh, I like Hozier, but in a casual way. I don't think about him, you know? I don't feel any sort of parasocial feelings to...
I mean, that's true. I'm like, not like, I do seek out the music often, but I don't have any sort of... Yeah, like, I don't look him up or know about his life or anything.
I just thought of someone I really was too obsessed with. The reason I wasn't thinking of him was because he doesn't sing. Christopher Briney. It's embarrassing.
I forgot he existed.
That's like the most obsessed I've been with a man, a celebrity man, in a long time, since I was like a teenager. And now I see pictures of him and I'm like, what was I going through?
Like for all the new releases that are coming out and they've got like makeup on him and they're doing his hair weird.
As the kids say, he looks chopped.
Yeah, that's funny. I appreciated Issa's love for him. I could see it. I could understand. But I didn't quite jump on that train. And now that I'm thinking about it too, yeah, the stars they're putting out for us are just not it. They're not my vibe. I think Patrick Schwarzenegger is giving Glenn Powell.
Yeah.
I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying who they're trying to sell us right now.
Yeah, I was never buying Glenn Powell. I was thinking about this story today and I wasn't going to share it, but now it's kind of on topic, so I'm going to share a personal anecdote. The most enraged I've ever felt at a man, it was like 5 years ago when I lived in Texas, and it was a guy I went to church with, and I was trying to explain to him the concept of like women, the male gaze, I guess, basically, versus the female gaze, and why and how women are attracted to people like Timothy Chalamet or Robert Pattinson compared to Chris Hemsworth and basically every Marvel character. That's the reason I thought of it, because you started talking about Marvel.
Yeah, because I brought up Marvel.
And he literally was arguing with me. And he was like, no. My mom and my grandma, like, they're attracted to Chris Hemsworth. No, women are not attracted to that. They're attracted to this. He was literally arguing with me. He's a man, arguing with me, a woman, about what women are attracted to. And I'm like, I totally get that your mom is attracted to Chris Hemsworth. Yes, I'll give you that. It makes sense. But the point I am trying to make is going right over your head. You are not listening to me. I've literally never been so annoyed. And that was 5 years ago. I still think about it today every time the male gaze or the female gaze is mentioned. And
it still triggers you.
And that's why I left the church. No, I'm just kidding.
You're like, this left the permanent damage.
I was offended, so I never went back.
That's so funny. No, that is so annoying. And it just made me, I don't even know what it's from, but it's like an audio that's like, that's my opinion. That's what I want to yell at people all the time. Like, even stuff with this casting. They're like, well, tell me why. Tell me why you don't like him. Tell me why. And I'm like, I just don't, okay?
Like what I did to you just
have Yeah, no. If it's a friend and we're having a conversation, I'm willing to discuss it. But when it's like some stranger that's like, you can't just say you don't like this person. And I'm like, no, I can, actually. You know, at this point, we're, 25 plus episodes in. All your listeners should know that sometimes our opinions are like well crafted and for good reasons. And sometimes we just don't like something. So
sometimes it's just, that's my opinion.
Yes. And thank you for sticking around, even if you don't always agree. That's the beauty of life. We don't have to agree. And we'll survive.
Mm-hmm. And you can disagree with us, and you can still support our podcast.
Yes. Okay, speaking of hot boys and transitioning into our main discussion, Some Kind of Wonderful stars Eric Schultz is his name. Hot or not?
Nah.
Really? I thought he was really cute in this movie.
I mean, he was like fine.
Not ugly.
He had the same haircut as his mom in the movie. He was definitely too attractive to be like the loser. They kept trying to convince. Well, that's what I thought at first. But then he kept doing loserish shit. And so then I was like, okay, no, you are a loser. This is making sense now.
You're like, oh, so it's your personality.
Yeah.
But I do think he's cuter than like the mean guy.
Yeah. That guy was scary. That was like, if you needed to teach somebody what gaslighting meant, they should watch that movie and watch that guy. What was his name in the movie?
Hardy Jens.
Okay, yeah. Hardy?
Yeah.
Wait, before we get in too deep, did we want to do a synopsis?
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Okay, guys, we haven't done this for a while, but we're going to read you the Wikipedia plot synopsis. We figured we would do it for this movie because I would say this is a lesser-known movie.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't familiar with it. Okay, this is Some Kind of Wonderful, according to Wikipedia. The film is set against the strict social hierarchy of an American public high school in the San Pedro area of Los Angeles. Blue-collar mechanic and aspiring artist Keith Nelson that's Eric Stoltz. Was it Stoltz or Schultz? I think it's Stoltz, actually.
I just made up his last name.
Yeah. Keith Nelson is best friends with tomboy drummer Watts. Keith's father, Cliff, is obsessed with sending him to college for business as he would be the first in their family to go. Keith is enamored with Amanda Jones, that's Leah Thompson, one of the most popular girls in school, and he spends much of his time drawing her. She is dating Hardy Jens, a spoiled and selfish boy from a wealthy neighborhood. However, Amanda herself is not wealthy. She lives in the same working-class district as Watts and Keith, and she borrows her fashionable clothes from her friends. Hardy treats Amanda as his property while also fooling around with another girl. Watts is dismissive of Keith's crush, saying that he and Amanda are too different. Hearing that Amanda will be in detention for the foreseeable future, Keith gets himself in trouble to spend time with her. However, she talks her way out of it, and he is stuck with the school troublemakers, eventually making friends with Duncan, a cool punk rock youth. When Amanda breaks up with Hardy, Keith asks her out. Mainly to spite Hardy, Amanda accepts. Meanwhile, seeing them together makes Watts realize that she loves Keith as more than just a friend. She pretends to like another boy to try and make Keith jealous, and she continues to discourage him from being with Amanda, to no avail. Keith's popularity around school begins to increase once word spreads of his upcoming date with Amanda, whereas Amanda's popularity quickly declines. Hardy plots trouble for Keith by inviting him and Amanda to a party after their date, where he plans to have him beaten up. Through his sister Laura, Keith finds out about the scheme and believes Amanda is a part of it. He decides to go to the party anyway and face Hardy. Amanda's wealthy and popular friends start to shun her for leaving Hardy, and Keith attempts to plan the perfect date to prove he is worthy of Amanda. With Watts in tow, he uses his college money to buy a pair of diamond earrings, rent an expensive car, and take Amanda to a posh restaurant. How did he rent a car at like 16 years old?
That's a great question.
Watts tells him that she will appreciate a good kisser, so she kisses Keith under the guise of teaching him how to do it. Still, Keith is oblivious to her attraction to him. When Cliff discovers the college fund has been emptied, he is livid, but Keith ultimately convinces his father to respect his right to make his own decisions. On the night of the date, Keith picks up Amanda, with Watts serving as their chauffeur. They go to an expensive restaurant for dinner, however they initially argue. Then Keith brings Amanda to an art museum and shows her a painting he did of her. He gives her the earrings and they kiss while Watts watches them from a distance. Finally, they go to Hardy's party. Keith is about to get beaten by Hardy's friends when Duncan, the cool punk rock youth, if you don't remember, and his school buddies arrive to help him. Hardy tries to talk his way out of the predicament, exposing himself as a coward in front of the party guests. Amused, Keith tells him he is over, after which Amanda slaps Hardy twice. After they leave the party, Watts apologizes to Amanda. Watts then leaves them and starts to walk home in tears. Amanda suddenly realizes that Keith and Watts have feelings for each other. She gives the earrings back to Keith and urges him to go after Watts. Keith, realizing that he is in love with his best friend, bids Amanda goodbye. He catches up to Watts and they kiss. He then gives the earrings to her. She is delighted and admits that she wanted them. When she puts them on and asks Keith how they look, he replies, "You look good wearing my future."
There you go. That's the movie.
Okay, where to even begin?
Yeah, I need to like pull up my notes actually.
Where do I even want to start? I did take notes. And as I was reading that synopsis, more things were coming to mind.
I laughed every time he said like the punk rock youth, Duncan, because he looks like he's 30 years old.
Yeah.
And I did leave the note that like it wasn't as bad as Grease, but a lot of this cast did not look like they were high schoolers.
No, Leah Thompson doesn't. I mean, I just looked up. She was 26, and
Yeah,
I think you
Eric
can tell
was
she's
too.
26. I like how Grease is like the litmus test for adults playing high schoolers.
Yeah.
Another funny thing about Leah Thompson, and I was kind of thinking this about Molly Ringwald too. They were like the it girls of these 80s coming of age movies. They're both cute girls, but like I don't maybe
Like, how
this
do I
sounds
say
bad,
this?
but they don't seem like it girls to me.
Yeah.
And even one of my notes was Keith's family sitting around the breakfast table, and Keith's crush on Amanda, Leah Thompson, comes up, and his sister is like, "Amanda Jones, she is sex." And I'm like, again, she's a cute girl, but she's not exuding sex to me.
Yeah. They're
What do you
definitely
think?
like equally attractive too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you wouldn't think like you have a chance with Amanda. Like
Yeah,
they're both good looking, normal people.
right.
Which like I could appreciate from one standpoint because now you watch romance movies and it's like, oh my gosh, like how am I ever supposed to compete with that? I don't usually feel that way because I can separate, this isn't real life or whatever. But Alex Earl actually posted a video of her like Coachella. It was like a fit check or something for Coachella. And I was like, literally, how are we supposed to like, and it's a good thing we're already married, I guess, and that we're getting older. But it's like, how are we supposed to compete with this like idea of women? Because it used to be just movies. And now it's like, that's what you have to look like for social media. And I've
Yeah.
even thought that like for our podcast, I was like, do I like look like I could have a professional podcast? Like I don't look like pretty enough. And not in like a self-deprecating sort of way, but like
Yeah.
I don't look like internet pretty,
Yeah.
And so like I've even thought that. Like it's gone through my mind like should I go get some lip filler? And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. But like it has gone so extreme now that like it is nice to watch these movies. There's probably 4 females that you see regularly throughout the movie and all of them are just like cute normal people. So I like
No,
it,
normal.
but for the character's sake, it's like, well, you're not really quite selling this.
But to your point, I mean, maybe we're just way too overexposed to extremely attractive people. And back then, Leah Thompson did exude sex.
Yeah, I think it is just like this warped reality, and that it would have been so much. Well, okay. I was going to say it would have been so much better to be a woman in the 80s, but I actually take that back. We have a lot more freedom and autonomy now, so I'm not going to say that, but you win some, you
No, I
lose
know.
some.
Yeah. Kind of going along the same lines, you mentioned that you thought Amanda and Keith were equally attractive, and
Mhm.
I think Amanda and Watts were also equally attractive.
Yeah.
Maybe Watts just kind of had an unfortunate haircut, but they were totally just as cute. And there was that locker room scene where Watts was admiring Amanda and, comparing her body to Amanda's. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, you guys are the same size. I just wasn't buying
Maybe
it.
it was more just like the confidence and like the womanly
Yeah, that's true.
aspect. I will say like the downside of this story is like it was revolving around Keith, like he was the main character. And I think we talked about this before that like a lot of older rom-coms actually like the male main character was sort of the main character. Like neither one of the female characters were very fleshed out because Keith was the main character. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
no, I agree. And I felt like Keith and Watts' relationship was underdeveloped. Even their
Mhm.
friendship, I don't know.
I kept thinking, like, watching it this time around, I was like, if this was a book, I think I would really love it. It needs to be a book and it needs to be written by a woman. And it needs to be more fleshed out. Like, we see that
Yeah.
friendship. We see, like, it's kind of what we talked about with, like, Nora Roberts. Like, it has a lot of good bones, but that there could have been some really interesting, like, aspects of the story that were just, yeah, sort of underdeveloped.
Not only just Watts and Keith's relationship being underdeveloped, but I think the pacing was off. I couldn't figure out where the story was going. And for example, so Keith asks Amanda out, and it's been like less than 24 hours. And then Watts and Keith are in the club, and Watts is crying. She kind of tears up and gives him this big, huge speech. And it felt premature for this dramatic speech. Do you know what I'm talking about? I just felt like it happened really early, but she had some crazy good lines in this movie. I wrote
Yeah.
down her speech. She said, let me find it in my notes. She said, "The only things I care about in this goddamn life are me and my drums and you. Adios." And then she was giving this
No.
tearful speech and then she goes, "Adios." And she walks
Adios.
away. I was like, wow, you go, girl.
No, she is like absolutely the best part of this movie.
Yes, and she's not in it enough.
To be fair, a lot of 80s movies sort of sucked. For what we got in the 80s, I felt like this was pretty revolutionary. Like, Watts was like a super cool girl. She stole the show. And I just loved her whole character, like that she was kind of this like independent tomboy, but like also soft and like she loved this boy, you know? I like that the bad guy was the bad guy and lost. Like nothing good happens to him in the end. And that this love triangle, like they all kind of won in the end. So I think like there were a lot of positive aspects that weren't shown in a lot of 80s movies. But looking back now, I'm like, yeah, she was not in this movie enough. Like the good things I was seeing, I was hyper focused on back then, but now I'm like, we didn't have enough of these good things, you know?
Yeah. There wasn't enough time spent on Keith realizing he liked Watts back.
Yeah. And somebody said that too. Like I was reading some reviews about it, and it's like you don't really see this realization moment for him that he
Yeah.
wanted that. It was like Amanda gave the earrings back, and then he was like chasing after Watts, and it's like
I genuinely
it seemed like you were okay ending up with Amanda 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. I genuinely was so confused because the movie had 3 minutes left and Watts and Keith weren't together yet.
Yeah.
And then Watts wasn't even there for like the climax of the movie, which is Keith standing up to Hardy.
Well, that's true.
And then they come outside and she's like, "I saw what happened from here." And I'm like, "How? What?"
Don't worry
You
about
weren't
it.
inside. And then he
She has
re-gifted
vision.
the earrings.
Yeah.
The earrings he bought for Amanda, he re-gifted them to Watts. The other funny thing was his dad. Sorry, you gave this like really insightful speech about why you liked it compared to other 80s movies. And I honestly, I haven't seen Pretty in Pink or 16 Candles. I did watch The Breakfast Club today though, because I felt like I needed to prepare, but I guess I picked the wrong one. I'll come back to that
I
in a
mean,
moment.
it's still the better one. I really don't like the other two, but
Well, yeah, okay, I want to talk about The Breakfast Club. Shoot, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah,
the
anytime
dad.
in a teenager movie when they're like, "It's not my dream, it's your dream, Dad." Normally, that's like about playing basketball or baseball or football, not going to college. Like I just,
Yeah.
I was like, I guess I'm getting old because I do not like Keith, and he's an obnoxious teenager, and I'm low key on the dad side.
I think I was like so into like Watts that I just accepted him because I wanted her to be happy. And looking back now, I'm like, bruh, you are like clueless. You're dumb. What were you gonna say about The Breakfast Club?
I didn't really like it.
Yeah, if you don't like Breakfast Club, you probably have you seen Ferris Bueller?
Yeah, I like Ferris Bueller.
I felt kind of okay about Ferris Bueller. I
Really?
can't. Yeah, but to be honest, like I think I've only seen The Breakfast Club once, and if you asked me what I liked about it, I would not be able to tell you.
Well, I still have 20 minutes left, actually, of The Breakfast Club. I ran out of time to finish it before we started recording. So, do you think the last 20 minutes will sell me?
I mean, a lot can happen in 20 minutes. The iconic scene.
Yeah. I get that
Truthfully,
they're like troubled teens, but they're like grossing me out and annoying me.
yeah. Well, and I'm just like not a fan of Molly Ringwald. I don't
Yeah.
like, and actually, John Hughes wanted to cast her as Watts. I thought at first, okay, Amanda Jones. No, he wanted to cast her as Watts. And I just keep thinking like how terrible this movie would be if she had been cast, but she said no, and it actually like caused such a rift that they never worked together ever again. Like John
Oh,
Hughes was
really?
like
Wow.
so betrayed by her saying no to this part.
I guess The Breakfast Club might be the first thing I've seen her in. But
You
I
might
don't
have
know,
to watch
'cause
some of the other ones then.
yeah, because I watched Ferris Bueller as a teenager. So I don't know if that's why I like it, and now trying to go back and watch The Breakfast Club as an
Yeah.
adult, maybe it's just too late. Also, it's probably kind of a generational thing, but
It totally could be.
yeah.
Because even this one, rewatching it as an adult, I was like, hmm. I still really love certain parts of it, but it wasn't quite as like groundbreaking as it felt when I watched it as a teenager.
Yeah.
One other
I
quote.
liked it.
Sorry, you liked
Well,
it.
another thing that was bugging me, I did not really like Eric Stoltz, like, whisper talking the whole time. And kinda Leah Thompson, too. I felt like everyone was talking so softly and so quietly.
Well, the scene when they're like in the, what is it, like stadium, auditorium thing? I don't even know. At the
Mhm.
end, there's something about her acting in that scene in particular, both of them. And I think she was kind of whisper talking. She's like, oh, really? And you were using me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
And it felt very like not natural. It wasn't like cringy bad. It just was like, just felt a little too forced, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what are your favorite parts?
One of my favorite parts was when she said, Ray, this is 1987. Don't you know a girl can be anything she wants to be? It felt so ahead of its time because no,
Yeah.
definitely not. In 1987, a girl could not be anything she wants to be. But I loved that for her, she felt that way and
Yeah.
had that confidence.
No, she was cool. And then his response was, "Yeah, my mom's a plumber." I wrote that quote down too. And then the other quote I wrote down was, "It really must be a drag to be a slave to the male sex drive." She had a lot of really good one-liners.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say that like her and Duncan, Rebel Punk Rock Youth,
They should have
kind of
gone
like stole
together.
the scenes.
Yeah.
Like any scene they were in, I liked, but it was because of them, not like anything else going on.
Yeah. No, I liked him. And then
So,
how he showed up at the end to help him.
yeah. This party's about to become a historical fact. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, it's gonna go down in history, or like...
I guess so. There were a lot of insults that I was like, wow, I should start using that, but now I can't remember. Well, in the Breakfast Club, the like main guy, he's like, I'm done sitting by you dildos. And I was like, wow, I've never thought to use that as an insult before.
You're like, how
You
creative.
dildos. Yeah.
That's so
But
funny.
I feel like that now, of course, they're all escaping me, but I feel like that happened to me multiple times throughout watching Some Kind of Wonderful and The Breakfast Club. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I gotta remember that one. Not really the dildos one, but
Yeah.
the only one I can remember.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the dialogue I felt stronger about than the writing of the story. Like, I do feel like generally throughout it, like the dialogue really hit and was well written, but this overall like storytelling of it all and the pacing and things like that didn't quite land.
Yeah, no, that's a good way of putting it, actually. I totally see what you're saying.
Like, can I say it's badly written if the dialogue is so good? Or like,
Yeah.
he's got strengths, and I feel like maybe all of his movies kind of are like that. Like, they have these really great like one-liner, like even from The Breakfast Club, like what stands out is the dialogue. And so I don't
No,
know.
that's so true, actually.
I guess I should have just done more research on John Hughes in general and not just this specific movie. Cause it's always interesting too when like a man builds his legacy on writing like teenage romance movies.
Yeah.
I should have looked into him a little bit more.
I want to hear the fun facts you researched about Some Kind of Wonderful, but I have 2 more things about the movie to say.
Okay.
Well, and maybe we should talk about our favorite parts. Okay. When Keith was explaining to his dad why he needed to spend his life savings on the diamond earrings for Amanda, he was like explaining to his dad that he's a loser. And in his list of reasons for being a loser, I can't even remember what they were. But one of them was, he was like, and my best friend's a tomboy. And I just thought that was funny that was one of his characteristics that made him a loser. His best friend was a tomboy.
I mean, there was several comments like of people calling her like a lesbian, and I wonder if back then, yeah, like if your best friend had this like everyone thought they were lesbian and you were best friends with them, if that would like negatively
ostracize you.
affect you. Yeah.
No, it totally makes sense. It was just funny in his that
Yeah.
was included in the list of these are all my
He's like,
loserish characteristics.
I'm not like you, Dad. High school's hard for me. I have a tomboy friend.
This girl I'm friends with likes to wear pants instead of skirts.
She's got her hair short, Dad. You don't get it. Yeah, no, that's so true.
I just can't believe he asked to borrow Watts's car. He like wanted to take Amanda home, but he doesn't even have his own car, so he has to ask Watts.
Yeah, and then made her like chauffeur them around the whole night.
Yeah, I just thought Keith was a big loser the whole time.
No,
and
honestly,
not because his best friend was a tomboy.
No, Watts deserves more. Also, I did write down a note about them like hanging out in that club. What happened to that scene? Like, I mean, like that scene in real life, like, because it's in 10 Things I Hate About You too. And I'm kind of envious of this generation that could just like show up to a cool place where like live music would be playing. Am I just like not at the right places? That would be so cool to just go.
No, that's
and, like,
a really good point.
meet up with
I
your
don't
friends.
know.
Maybe we need to seek it out.
Yeah. It's like Saved by the Bell. They're always hanging out at some public place.
Yeah.
That's like a chill vibe. I actually couldn't remember where they were hanging out.
I guess that's just a whole nother conversation of like our society losing like the third place. So
Yeah.
sad life.
Okay, wait. You triggered my memory though. That was the scene where she's like, the only things I care about are me, my drums, and you. Adios. I was talking about how that felt premature, and it was because the beginning of her speech, she was like, do you miss me? Do you miss hanging out with me? And I was just confused because I was like, I thought he asked Amanda out like yesterday.
Well, okay, I keep saying this in every single movie we watch, and I'm starting to feel like it's not a comprehension issue of mine. I think the writers of these movies just do a poor job because I feel like everything I watch, I'm like, how much time is taking place?
Yeah.
Like, what is the time span of this? Because, yeah, did this whole movie take place in 3 days? From like Monday to the party on Friday? That's
Exactly.
crazy.
But
And
Watts
if
acted
that's the
like
case, then what?
yeah, she was acting like he had abandoned her and they hadn't spoken in weeks.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I didn't really have a problem with the 5 days of Yumi and Tuscany.
Yeah.
Because apparently that's the norm for all of these movies. Well, I already shared some of the fun facts that I read about
Wait,
this.
what's your favorite part?
Oh, their first kiss.
Okay, I was gonna say the same thing.
To be honest, that's probably the number one reason why I really loved this movie as a teenager. I did think that it was a really good kiss.
No, I was surprised how good the kiss was based on the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And his
It
hands
didn't
are
give me
like dirty from working in the
yeah.
mechanic shop.
And like on the back of her pants. And she
Yes.
wraps her legs around him. Yeah. It didn't give me the same feelings I got as a teenager, but I remember like watching it as a teenager and like
Yeah.
feeling like, oh my gosh, that is a good kiss. It just felt like so much more like intimate than a lot of the kisses that we get in just sort of feel good rom-coms, you know? And then at the end, I liked kind of how like bashful they were. Like he's like, you're blushing. And she's like,
Yeah.
no, like, I'm not blushing. And then she kind of turns it like, well, now you just insulted me. Like, I shouldn't have done this. And she leaves kind of all angry, you know? Like, it wasn't just the kiss. It was like the whole scene, like how he's kind of like, looks like he can't help himself from smiling and she's like embarrassed. And yeah, I just thought it was a good scene.
No, it was good. And I actually did like their kiss again at the end when
Yeah.
she's kind of teary. Even though it felt very last minute, it literally was the last minute of the movie. I liked how she was kind of teary and
Yeah.
they kissed and made up and they walked off with their arms around each other. It was cute.
The only one thing I was going to add was that Eric Stoltz was actually cast to play the main character in Back to the Future.
Oh, I think I read that.
Yeah, they filmed for like 5 months and they were just like, this isn't working.
Oh,
And they
he
fired
started
him.
filming and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like scenes you can watch him. Like they literally fired him and like refilmed everything. Well, not like everything, but sorry, 5 weeks, not 5 months. That makes it a little bit better. But still, 5 weeks is a lot on like a film set to go and redo.
Well, I'm sorry, but based on his performance in this movie and the whisper talking and stuff, yeah, like I don't see him being Marty McFly.
I feel kind of bad for him because like now nobody really knows his name. It just like must be like a really sucky moment to have an opportunity like that and then be fired and then have that go on to become one of like the biggest hits ever, you know?
Yeah, the
Like
biggest
that would
hit
just
of the decade.
suck.
Yeah.
And I actually just saw a clip of Frankie Muniz and the dad from, you know, Breaking Bad and Malcolm in the Middle. And they were talking about how he was offered the role in Holes and Agent Cody Banks at the same time. And he decided to go with Agent Cody Banks, which don't ask me why. Like, why would you? I don't know why he would choose that. But then Shia LaBeouf ended up being cast in Holes, you know. And so he was saying how sometimes he looks back on that and like wonders like what his career could have been if he had taken Holes instead. Like, would people have seen him more as a serious actor or like, you know, more adult or whatever? But the dad from Malcolm in the Middle, I really don't know his name. But he said, I mean, he was kind of joking. So they're like looking at each other, but then he turns to the camera and like kind of gives this look and turns back and is like, oh yeah, you could have had Shia LaBeouf's life.
Yeah.
Like saying, maybe that's not a good thing, you know?
Right, yeah.
And it was just kind of funny that he so like unabashedly roasted Shia LaBeouf there on the spot.
As he should, really. I'll do it on our podcast.
But yeah, you never know. You know, like, could it bring you down a better life? Maybe, but maybe not, you know. Do you know what the Rotten Tomato score is? Did you look?
No, I actually don't.
You want to guess?
I'm going to guess 78.
Oh, that was really close, actually. It's 76.
Wow.
That's the critics. And the audience is, do you want to guess?
83.
80.
Wow. I'm getting kind
So
of good
pretty
at
good.
this.
Yeah, yeah, those are spot on. They're Yeah, pretty good reception overall. It's hard to say like, oh, this had so much potential because like it's good, like that makes it sound like it was a total flop. It is good, but I do think that it could have been so much more still if it had been written by someone that, and maybe there's some really big John Hughes fans that are going to listen to this, but like I just can't really tell like what his main goal was.
Yeah, I think you really nailed it when you said the dialogue was good, but the overall storytelling fell off. And that's what I was trying to articulate when I said the pacing fell off and Keith and Watts's
Yeah.
relationship felt underdeveloped. It felt all over the place. Like I knew it was building up to this party, I guess, where
Yeah.
Hardy was gonna beat him up, allegedly. But I never knew what scene was coming next. Like, it felt so random,
Yeah.
honestly.
And somebody actually made mention of that like they could tell that it was kind of cut and sliced
Yeah.
and that the final version was missing maybe some of those additional scenes that added more depth or
Yeah.
context.
Like
So,
when, for example, when Leah Thompson's friends all of a sudden stopped talking to her.
yeah.
I thought I like missed something. I was like, wait,
It's because you're hanging out
I
with a
don't
tour
know.
guy. Oh.
Yeah, even reading the synopsis, things were making more sense reading the synopsis.
I think the two things that I appreciated, I think this review wrapped it up, and guess who it was who wrote this
Roger
review?
Ebert.
Yep. And the first time I heard his name, I said, who the freak is this guy? Nobody knows him. And you're like, I think he's actually a pretty famous critic. And now I see him in
I tried
every
to say it
movie.
gently. So when you Google a movie, it says Rotten Tomatoes score, IMDb score, Roger Ebert score.
Okay, well, how do we get that sort of reputation? Because I think our takes are even better than his. No. But I did like how he worded this. And this is like, I think like a win of the movie is partly what I mentioned before, which was that like all three of the characters were like good people. They just weren't all like right for each other, whatever. And so so the way he worded it though is he said, it's not about whether the hero will get the girl. It's about whether the hero should get the girl. And when was the last time you saw a movie that even knew that that could be the question? And so, like, I'll give it credits for that, like, it was doing something different,
Yeah.
for back then. I think, like, those other movies that we talked about were, like, very, like, stereotype heavy, and that this was like, yeah, let's switch this up. What if he ends up with the tomboy?
The tomboy.
Revolutionary. But I think, like, I do have to give it credit for the time that it came out and, like, and how it could be seen as inventive in that way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, okay, what are your ratings overall?
I think I would give it 3. I think I'd give it a 3.5.
Stick with your heart. 3.5? Would you
I'll give
recommend it? Because that would be our stamp, which we've like
okay,
haven't
maybe a
really
3.
made those posts.
I know. That's my fault. I haven't been doing that. I think I'd give it a 3. The
Yeah, I'm
kiss,
trying
though,
to-
I'd give a 4.
Yeah.
The chemistry, I just didn't really like Keith.
It feels like one-sided. Her chemistry
Yeah.
towards him,
Yeah.
like the yearning was there, and you felt it from her.
Right.
So I give her 5 stars, him like 1.
Yeah. So maybe it will average out to a 3.
Yeah.
Longevity of the couple, I think he goes to art school and falls in love with an artsy girl and leaves Watts. I don't think their relationship would last outside of high school.
He seems far too concerned with his image instead of just like enjoying what was already there. Like, I'm still not even really convinced that like he really loved her in the way that she loved him,
But I also think Watts is smart, and a girl can be anything in 1987. And so she will go to college, and her eyes will be opened, and she'll realize she can do better than Keith.
Yeah. Maybe she dumps him because she can tell. She's not going to wait around until he dumps her and finds somebody else.
Do you think she's a lesbian?
Maybe queer,
Yeah.
bi. But also I don't want to stereotype people. If you want a short haircut and play the drums and do whatever, like that's fine.
Be a
That doesn't mean
tomboy.
you're into girls. But I also feel like she's like clearly progressive enough that she wouldn't, like, rule that out. Like, I'm not saying, like, she's into girls or not, but, like, if she was, she wouldn't feel the need to, like, hide that, you know?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think she would go to college and, like, experiment. Those are the
Yeah.
vibes I'm getting from her.
Yeah, she's like, who needs this Eric? No. Who needs this Keith dude who spent his
Yeah.
whole college savings on earrings? I've got the whole world.
She'd keep the earrings, though.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think she'd keep them or she'd, like, pawn them and keep the money for something else?
I think she'd keep them as, like, a reminder.
I mean, he was her best friend, I guess.
Yeah.
I actually hope for her sake that they fall apart gently, that they realize they're just better off as friends,
Yeah.
and they go on to have, like, a nice relationship still for her sake, because clearly he was somebody very special to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I think it happens when they go to college. They both go off to college and
Yeah.
grow apart. That
I
was
think
the
I'd
most in-depth post-movie prediction we've ever done.
Yeah, usually it's just like, I guess so. I guess they stay together.
Yeah.
No, but I like that.
That's because this was the first one where I felt strongly that they wouldn't stay together.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, what were you
Yeah,
gonna say?
I think overall I'd give it, realistically I would say a 3, but back in the day it probably would have been a 4. Like, it really was, like, one of my favorites. And I thought about rewatching it before we did the episode and I recommended it, just so I could see if I really wanted to recommend it. And I don't regret recommending it, but it definitely was just not the same experience as before. So I guess I'd average it out to, like, a 3.5 now.
No, I'm glad we did it. It was fun to
But
do an 80s movie.
yeah.
An 80s teenager romance.
And the kiss truly saves it all.
No, seriously.
I would go back just to watch again. So.
Something I wanted to talk about. When we were together in person over the weekend, you were saying, it was because we were talking about Heated Rivalry, and we were like, man, I want to rewatch Heated Rivalry. And you said that doing this podcast has made you realize the difference between movies and shows you actually really like and then the ones you don't really like that much. So I want to know, out of all the movies we've done for the podcast so far, like, which ones do you feel in your heart that you actually love?
You know, I guess our ratings actually still stay pretty accurate because the only one that we've given a 5-star is Dirty Dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel like that is, like, well-deserved. So, okay, Before Sunrise, yeah. I think that one I gave 4 stars, and, like, that I might actually increase now. Because watching all these other ones since then, that was our very first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think now I'd give that one even more credit.
Okay, I'm glad you say that because I agree. Dirty Dancing and Before Sunrise, I think, are the 2 best movies we've done.
They're actually, like, maybe the only 2 that even stand out. So
yes,
we had,
like, I get warm, fuzzy feelings thinking about Before Sunrise.
Yeah. And, like, we had some, like, fine ones. Like, People We Meet on Vacation was technically fine. And Eternity, I might actually bump down. We both gave that 4 stars. I don't know. Maybe I need a rewatch.
No, I'd bump
really
it down.
like-
I feel like I had to give it 4 stars because everybody was like, I feel like I was
Peer pressured?
I feel like I was peer pressured.
Yeah, like, obviously I remember enjoying it in the moment, but, like, I haven't had any desire to go back and watch it.
No.
So to give it 4 stars, like, feels pretty generous.
I'd rather rewatch People We Meet on Vacation than Eternity.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say Before Sunrise and Dirty Dancing. I think that if you
And
do
Heated
choose
Rivalry.
to do and Heated Rivalry, yeah. Yeah, what are the other shows we've kind of just talked about?
Well, we were both saying over the weekend that Bridgerton, we wouldn't really consider it one of our favorite shows.
No, the only ones I didn't include in my little carousel post was Sandiken, Bridgerton, Love Story, Rosalind, Far and Away, Hannah Montana and the Last Song, and Warm Bodies. So even out of all of those, none of them are close to hitting Before Sunrise or Dirty Dancing. Would you say?
Well, yeah, because Dirty Dancing was a 5-star movie for us, but we have not had a lot of 4-star movies. Like, I get 5-star movies are going to be rare, but we need some more 4 stars up in here. And now, thinking back on it, Eternity, that's not a 4-star movie.
Yeah.
I feel like pretty much every movie we've done has been 3.5.
Well, it's hard because we always talk about this, me and Issa, going back and forth between like, do we want to watch the movies that are coming out and relevant because people want to hear what we think about it? No, just like what people think about it in general. And so we watch a lot of these new ones. Originally, when we started this, we were like, we're on like a mission. We're on the hunt to find the best. And we still do try to kind of like balance that, like 2 new, 2 old per month. But yeah, I'm like, have I just been making bad choices on my picks?
No,
Because
I
I
don't think
don't
so.
feel like we're any closer. Like Before Sunrise is the only new movie that was like new to us that was like, wow, this was good. We missed out on this, you know? So
No, we've had a rhyme and we've had a reason for every episode that we've done, and this just means the podcast has longevity. If we had found the perfect rom-com and decided to pack it up and never bother watching another rom-com ever again, well, that wouldn't be fun. And plus, we love to complain.
that's true. We have been intentional in our choices, and some of them ended up being flops, but that we were like genuinely hoping, could this be the next movie we love? Like Notting Hill, you know? So I do think, though, if you do choose 10 Things I Hate About You, that might be what I would consider a perfect rom-com, because Before Sunrise and Dirty Dancing are not rom-coms. We'll wait and see. Did you decide if you're doing that for sure or not?
Yeah, no, I've decided. So what's next week's episode?
My brain
Is it
is
The Devil
dead.
Wears Prada? Or is it 10 Things I Hate
No.
About You? Oh, I think it is. 10 Things I Hate About You is next week.
Yes. Yes. Yes!
A few announcements before we sign off. If you're listening to this episode the day it comes out, tomorrow is Indie Bookstore Day. So go support your local indie bookstore. Monday, our bonus book episode comes out, and we're talking about The Night We Met by one of our favorite romance authors, Abby Jimenez. And then next Friday, like we said, 10 Things I Hate About You. And it's my 28th birthday. Well, around. It's a
few
couple
days
days away
later.
from my birthday. And those are our major announcements.
I'm excited.
Cindy's coming to my house for my birthday, and we haven't made TikToks together for a while, and I think we need to go back to that.
Yeah.
I know we stopped because we have other content that was doing well, but I think we need to make some TikToks together.
It's our brand. The two of us, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Keep an eye out. We're gonna have some fun together. We're gonna watch The Devil Wears Prada 2. When did they stop getting creative with like sequel titles?
Okay, let's think of a better one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Do we need to watch it to know what
Oh,
we're
okay.
going?
I was gonna try to just come up with one right
The
now.
Devil.
The Devil Wears Prada, the squeakquel. Like, I mean, obviously not, but I was gonna try to come up with one on the fly.
I saw one that somebody said that like had something to do with like another like big brand, and I thought it was kind of creative, but now I don't remember. The Devil Wears Prada.
The Devil Wears Prada, Too Fast, Too Furious.
The Devil Wears Prada.
Tokyo Drift. Those are the only sequels I can think of right now. What's the most iconic sequel title? The Squeakquel. It's literally the most iconic sequel.
Well, and the Fast and Furious ones. Okay. All right. Well,
anyway.
Thanks for listening.
See you guys on Monday for our bonus episode. Don't forget to listen.
It's a good one.
Like and subscribe and follow and leave us a 5-star rating. You guys have a lot of homework. Okay. See you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.